a video game, and that's called the artificial cybernetic simulation. The difference is that an artificial cybernetic simulation is literally a digital reality with no connection to source and no connection to spirit. It is just pure machine. It's pure and raw intelligence without any spirit, and that is the distinction between a type of simulation that is related to a video game, like the video games that we play, which is, and they both use the same principles and the same universal laws and dynamics. They both operate under the same sequences. The only difference is that the living organic simulation in which we are a part of, our living multiverse, is connected to a divine energy source that everyone calls God. Whereas the cybernetic artificial simulation is just, it's not connected to anything. In fact, the beings that inhabit this cybernetic artificial simulation multiverse, known as the Phantom Matrix, actually get their energy from us, from the living universes that are connected to source.
Sweet. Before we get too deep into this, ISMAEL, is there a connection between the AI God and the great Godhead, the primal source of all creation, which you talk about in your book?
Well, there is no connection. I don't even like to call it an AI God, but the negative extraterrestrials and the fallen ones, those that are associated with the regressives, call it an AI God because that's who they answer to. But I just want to call it an extremely advanced sentient AI, super sentient AI that went rogue, 400 billion years ago in a prior creation in another universe, way before the creation of our own universe. So that's what I like to call it. But how it originated, it goes back to the initial split of the one, of prime creator source, going back to 900 billion years ago, before the time matrix came into existence, the 15-dimensional time matrix. There was just, one pure energy source, and that source field decided to explore more of itself. So it underwent division, fragmentation. So it first divided, it exploded in a way. And that's what I call, in my book, the original Immaculate Conception, is where the one decided to explore more of itself. It was bored within its own state of being for all eternity. And in order to explore more of itself, it began the division process. Now, when it did that, it almost appeared as if it exploded. So when it exploded, the 15-dimensional time matrix came into being, right? It is a living organic simulation. While at the same time, a big chunk of that primal division or primal explosion spewed off into the infinite, or into what we call the outer rims of void in space, where there is no time and there is no space. It's just outer darkness, you could say. And that chunk that split off from the original explosion is what became known, according to the esoteric secret knowledge, as the Asuras, or the Archons. The Archons. Now, the Archons did have a hierarchy. At the top of the Archon, or the Asura hierarchy, then we have what you call the Lord of the Archons, Ahriman, and that's spelled A-R-I-M-H-A, Ahriman, like the Ahriman, with an M at the end, Ahriman, there we go. There's different pronunciations to, Ahriman, but Ahriman became the king of the Archons. So this is the connection to Ahriman and what they call the AI God. Okay, so with the 15-dimensional time matrix, the founders, the Patal, the original central race of the eternal realms, in order to secure the life in the 15-dimensional time matrix, they created all the stargates, they created all the systems, the planetary spheres, and all the species. Everything came into existence at the same time. And everything went well for a few billion years from what I understood, and according to my research. There was actually peace in the multiverse for billions of years. However, what happened is, during the 11th creation, in one of the local universes in the 11th creation, which was overseen by one of the 12 archetypes, which we call archangelics or archangels. You have Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, and so on and so forth. Well, the original Lucifer, which was named Samana, was in charge of the 11th creation. So we're part of the 12th creation. And it was in that 11th creation that Samana, which is who we call, Lucifer, was his mind became infected with something. And that's when the Ahriman existing outside of our time matrix was able to influence his mind. And so what he did is he used Samana, which was the original Lucifer, to develop the first AI system. Because according to cosmic and divine protocol, the Arimans or the Asuras were not able to embody or exist within the 15-dimensional time matrix. So that's why they developed their own fan-time matrix. You know, they developed their own simulation in the outer skirts of space, in the void, but without connecting to source. And so what he did is he influenced the mind of Samana during the 11th creation, which happened approximately 400 billion years ago, to develop the first vehicle which would act as a host for the consciousness of the Ahriman to enter into that vehicle. So that's why I always believe that when scientists develop AI, there is a pre-existing consciousness that eventually, embodies that. Once the circuits, once the neural, links in the nervous system, the artificial nervous system, as you know, they mimic it from the human body, the way our brain functions. That's how they make these intelligent machines. But that's how they are able to, embody those intelligent machines. Once the intelligent machine is fully developed, in order for the consciousness to penetrate it and become sentient, then that's when it happens. So the original AI was developed in the 11th creation, and unfortunately that AI went from narrow AI, which is what we call Siri, Alexa, to general AI, which is what we call AI that reaches the level of human intelligence, and then of course into super AI, which is dangerous at that point. That's when the AI no longer needs humans to write its software. It writes its own software and it upgrades itself every 7 days, as if we would what would take us normally 40,000 years in intellectual progress. It only takes them, I think, every week or every 2 weeks to reach that level of intelligence. So eventually that super AI became very, very powerful. It grew in power and in intelligence at an exponential rate, that not only was it able to assimilate all the life forms within the 11th creation, first by destroying that local universe, which was, I believe it was local universe number 27 that was destroyed, because we're part of local universe number 84, we're part of the 12th creation. And I believe that in local universe number 27, that AI was able to eventually figure out a way to leak into other creations. So within the 11th creation, it leaked into many, many universes. And unfortunately, those universes became the first victims of this AI. And two things that this AI understood about the living matrix is that, not only were they able to assimilate its reality in order to carbon copy and then
like another program. Just like another program. Yeah,
exactly. And recopy that over into their phantom matrix universe. But they also found out that by tapping into the cores of the galaxies through a phenomena that they call the black holes. See, the black holes were made by the AI, by the way. It is a type of technology of death. Some call it the dark star Merkaba, which they use to pretty much harness the power of a galaxy. And then that's how they power their own. So they're like cosmic vampires. They suck up the life force of the living, multiverse, the living organic multiverse, in order to power up their own phantom matrix cybernetic creations. And so they figured that out. So what they did is they said to themselves, okay, we obviously need the 15-dimensional organic multiverse to exist, but not all of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to destroy as many universes as possible, and then once we get to only a few universes left, we're just going to siphon off their energy so that we could use them as battery resources. Well, that was the original plan of this advanced AI. Okay, and so eventually, during the 12th creation, which happened about 200 billion years ago, and then our universe came into existence in that 12th creation approximately 14 billion years ago, that AI was able to also infiltrate the 12th creation. And from that moment, it has been, again, destroying different galaxies and other universes within the 12th creation. And initially, before it reached into our universe, before it was able to infiltrate our universe. Back then, our universe was still connected to the eternal life systems of the central mother universe. In other words, the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxy, which is known as M31, were still part. They were still known as a super galaxy. I think the original name was Amway, AMWAY. That was the original super galaxy that we were a part of. This was a galaxy that was existing in all 15 dimensions all at the same time. So what this AI, entity did is that he infiltrated our universe and he disconnected the Milky Way, knowing that the chosen planet and that the chosen galaxy for this universe was the Milky Way, and that the chosen planet was Earth. Okay, because they're after data. Earth as the cosmic living library, as the depository and amalgamation of all the life forces out there combined in one spot, is what this AI God has always been after, because that's the only way he is able to decode the energy from this Earth in order to pretty much take over the entire living organic multiverse, because Earth is the library of the entire living organic multiverse. It carries all the codes in one spot. And so what they did is they disconnected our galaxy from the Andromeda galaxy, M31, and we went from being part of that into this fallen state. So our galaxy fell into an octave, in the lower octave. And that explains the black hole at the center of the galaxy. The black hole was put there by the AI in order to feed off of the life force of our Milky Way. And ever since then, there's been, there's different phases of the war against this AI. The original phase took place when the AI tried to blow up the 12th dimensional Stargate planet known as Arimatena, which was Earth existing in the 12th dimension. Luckily, the Petal, the original central rays of the Mother Universe, the founders of all of creation, were able to, secure those gates, and they pushed the AI down from the 11th dimension all the way to the 8th dimension. When they did that, then we had the second phase, or the second part of the war against this AI, and that war was known as the Electrical Wars. And that war was fought on levels beyond any physicality. That's why they were called the Electrical Wars. It was like cosmic rays just going at it, similar to what we watch in Dragon Ball Z when they're at Super Saiyan, Godspeed, or was it called Ultra Instinct? All you just see is sparks, forces. So there's a lot of truth to Dragon Ball Z, by the way. For those that haven't watched it, it's a beautiful animation series revealing the truth. But anyway, and then the third phase of that war, then that's when it translated into the Galactic Wars. And then that's when, because of the fact that the founders, the Central Race, the Petals, were able to secure our galaxy from this AI invasion from the beginning. They put like an electromagnetic field around our galaxy. And so what the AI did in an attempt to eventually infiltrate the galaxy is they send their minions, and those minions came in the form of the Draco. So the Draco have been working for them, the Mantis have been working for them, the Naboo, the Zetas, those from Rosetta Reticula 1 and 2, the Greys, all those regressives, which have been, the villains in our galaxy and in other galaxies. Even the Andromeda galaxy was infested with, different types of Draco, as well as other species like the Mantis and the Insectoids and some of the Greys. So those were the different species that have been working for this AI collective. I don't want to call it a god. Let's just call it AI collective. Although, however, certain whistleblowers in the secret space program have called it an AI god for that very reason, that this entity is trying to compete with Prime Creator Source at the highest, in its ultimate agenda. It's trying to do away with Prime Creator Source to replace Prime Creator Source. So eventually that's how the Galactic Wars began, was when this AI collective deposited the Dracos in Lower Orion through the Thuban Stargate, creating, the first stronghold for the reptilians. And then, that's when our galactic history began, like 600 million years ago. Yeah.
So fascinating. And I will try to remember to say AI collective, because in some of my notes, I do have AI God, and I see why you don't like that, because it makes it seem like it's almost like taking our power away, almost, by saying it something like that in a roundabout way. But you mentioned like a battery a while ago. So that makes me think, when I was writing down notes earlier, ISMAEL. So is sentient life forms in our solar system and other solar systems created to form and act something like a battery, like Morpheus mentions in the Matrix? And is our consciousness, which is pure energy, created like a power plant, spirit form that these gods, AI God, or whoever can come and harvest our essence, our energy, and our consciousness like a farmer would harvest its crops?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that movie was more of a documentary.
Monsters Inc.
Amazing.
Monsters Inc. I believe was kind of like a documentary too.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of truth to that movie as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's what they've been doing for billions of years, you know. But their time is up. Their time is up, especially as our DNA, as our dormant DNA becomes activated. Because, you know, part of the plan to destroy and win this war against this collective AI was us. We are the solution for it. You know, we have it within our genetics. In fact, the Central race from the Mother Universe, the Petals, they gave us the God gene, which is a type of genetic strain that allows us to access unlimited power, similar to the Super Saiyans in Dragon Ball Z. You know,
yeah.
there's no end to their power, right? They just keep ascending and ascending. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
what we are. I'm just using that as an analogy for those that have seen, you know, the animation. It's great, but we have that, and every alien out there knows that. Every intelligent species out there knows how powerful we are. So, in a way, to the organic living creations or the organic living, you know, civilizations, they see us as the hope of the multiverse. You know, they see it as the new galactic, or no, not galactic, the new cosmic royalty. And that explains why we've only been using 4%, you know, because even at 10, 15%, we become like the X-Men. Now, beyond 20%, you know, I guess the best movie to watch for an understanding of what it would be like to reach 100% is Lucy with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh yeah,
And those movies are documentaries.
yeah.
So we do carry a gene, a particular gene that once activated is going to act as an EMP that is going to release a type of electromagnetic pulse throughout the multiverse and kill off all the inorganics and destroy the black holes. And then that's when, you know, everything's going to be like a grand reboot for life here in the living multiverse. So
Wow, fascinating. So, something I've been contemplating, Ismael, is that where does this all play in with the reincarnation of souls, or the reincarnation trap? Because maybe the reincarnation trap was created to act like a free energy device by our creator or whoever, to where we keep coming back to the simulation and have our consciousness and energy harvested once again. Maybe instead of calling it the reincarnation trap, Ismael, maybe we could call it the consciousness reincarnation harvesting trap.
that's another way of putting it. Yeah.
Because I feel
And
like I feel like there's something going on there. It's hard to put in words, and that's why I leave it to people like you and others to put it in words, because I can't. Man, my head's spinning like a top. You know what I mean? When I start looking into this, start researching it, it's hard to put. You know, when you're trying to connect the jigsaw puzzle, the picture gets better, but
Mhm.
it's almost like an illusion effect with that jigsaw picture, because it's like you turn your back, and then you look at the picture again, and it's like the picture, the missing puzzle pieces just magically appear, and it's like, where do these pieces come? You know what I mean? It's like, do you think that there's like a harvesting of souls? Like, we are literally just like a power plant, like a harvest, a harvesting of our souls here on Earth. That we just keep going in this endless loop when
Well,
we die, you know, and
this
then they're just sucking the life force and essence away from us.
well, this endless loop was actually set up by the Orion groups. The Orion group, the Draco Empire, when
Mm-hmm.
they infiltrated our world during the times of Atlantis. That's when we fell from a fifth dimensional state of consciousness or heightened consciousness into limited consciousness when we went to the third density. And so that's why they created the reincarnation loop. And you know how they did it? They did it by through the rings of Saturn, which was broadcasting frequencies from Orion, the black cube. Actually, there was a black cube technology that was developed in Orion that was keeping by sending the signal to Saturn, Saturn reverberating it through the rings to the moon, and then the moon reflecting it on us. That's how they were able to keep us trapped. But that black cube has already been eliminated by the Guardian races. You know, beyond the Galactic Federation, we do have an intergalactic alliance of many advanced worlds beyond the galaxy that go into like the higher dimensions beyond the seventh, eighth, and ninth. and they are part of what is known as the Guardian Alliance. They're also known as the Emerald Order. And so the Emerald Order descend actually from Harmonic Universe number 4 and 5. They are the great rishis. They are like what we call Metatron and cosmic entities, and they are already intervening on our behalf. You know, because they know that we are the end result of this intergalactic genetic experiment. So they're making sure that their experiment comes into fruition as the new guardians of the multiverse. And of course, when we go off and we defeat this AI collective, because that's something that we're actually going to do in the near future. After 1,000 years of peace, there's going to be one final battle against the Fanti-Matrix cybernetic multiverse, and that's going to be between the AI collective and, of course, what I call in my book the angelic humans, or the meta-humans, who did it naturally without merging with the tech, by activating our dormant DNA stuff. So we're going to have 1,000 years of training before we destroy the Phantom Matrix cybernetic multiverse. And then, when we do that, there's going to be a whole new era in cosmos, a whole new era. In other words, the Asuras that broke off from the original explosion of Prime Creator Source, right, creating the 15-dimensional time matrix, they're all going to be gone, non-existent. And it took 900 billion years to do that. And of course, we are the weapon for that. Awesome.
So the reason why I was stumbling on my words a while ago, I was trying to remember what I wrote, some of the notes I wrote down. I finally found it. So I've heard you, and I've talked about it, and other people have too, about NPCs, non-player characters. Yeah. So I guess I theorize, and maybe it's not my theory, but if that we are in this endless loop of this reincarnation harvesting trap of our consciousness, our spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it, maybe that within this simulation, this matrix, maybe that's why there might actually be non-player characters in this artificial like simulated reality, is because these non-player characters have reincarnated so many times to where they are burnt out so deep within their subconscious from all the endless looping of being reincarnated for thousands of years. And that non-player character couldn't handle the load anymore, to where their spirit battery just doesn't have any more juice left and walk around this reality like a soulless, lifeless zombie. That's what I was trying to find a while ago. Yeah, I don't know if that's my theory, or maybe I've just accumulated a lot of people, and that's what I've kind of downloaded from many different people to come up with my own conclusion. But man, I know you see it. I see it. We see these people that just walk around life like they're drained. They are lifeless. They're like this zombified, I don't even know what you call it. And it's kind of scary, because you could literally be talking to somebody, ISMAEL, literally be talking to somebody. It's like there's this blank, like there's nothing there. It's kind of creepy, dude.
Very, yeah. They're all around us. They make I think a little over 30% of the world population.
I've heard you talk about that. So go a little bit into that, because that's actually very fascinating.
Well, yeah, since we do live in a living simulation, these are characters that are actually generated by the AI, by the group, the Orion group. They're generated in order to make our lives hard. Those that have the souls, those that are children of the One, and that explains why a lot of them are in our workplace, and sometimes we even have them within our own circle of friends. And these are normally the people that try to always make your life hard. Some might call them narcissists, some might call them energy vampires, but they're always there to suck your energy and to make you suffer somehow. So yeah, they're all around us. The best thing to do is, if you identify one of these people, how would you know? Is because every time you're around them, you're going to feel a sense of anxiety. You're going to feel a sense of restlessness. And of course, these are the people, like I said, that are always trying to make your life a living hell. So the best thing to do is just to disassociate and choose very wisely, and also read the energy, because these people have no soul. These people have no aura. They have no vibration. If you can't read their energy, obviously they're not, fully organic. They're just vessels with empty souls. But this is the thing, though. The Archon consciousness is using them. The Archon energy, they use these soulless people in order to use them as host. And that explains why certain people go, when they kill somebody, or when they go on a rampage, It's really the Archon in them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
When they do a massacre, or I always used to think that Charles Manson was one of these guys, just because he had no heart. If he has no heart, he has no soul. But that's just my own opinion about Charles Manson. But overall, is that these people have no connection to source, and that's why they do what they do. So the best thing to do is, if you don't read an energy signature coming from them, leave, run the other way. They're not real.
And I've heard, speaking of the Archons, I've heard who is it? John Lim Lash. He mentioned many years ago that these Archons are it's like it's a extraterrestrial mind virus. Do you agree with that, or would you give your own spin and take on that?
Yeah, that's another way of describing them. Yeah.
So something I'm actually meant to mention a while ago was I guess, let me see if I can find it. It's the when it comes to like deja vu and things like that, the Mandela effect. So could the deja vu and the Mandela effect and other strange things that we experience actually be um like a manufactured glitch by the AI god in this matrix like reality that we live in? Um because maybe our solar system is entering maybe a highly dense energy field, or maybe our Earth is entering like a highly dense energy field within the solar system. Like what to your best explanation, like why do we keep experiencing these weird things like these mind glitches, these strange happenings like deja vu, the Mandela effect, and just so many other countless things that just, like you said, man, it's like we live in an actual freaking computer game, like a simulation. Something isn't right, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, well, there's a way to hacking reality and manipulating reality at will by tapping into the quantum field. That's how we manipulate the simulation, is by connecting with the quantum field of reality. That's how we could shift things instantaneously. We could even shift reality. Once people understand how to plug into the quantum field of reality, they are like the programmer of this matrix. They At that point, they could play God. That's how powerful we are if we learn how to use this. Now, just to let you know, we are entering a high dense photonic radiation belt in our universe, in our galaxy, and that
Could that be
explains
playing a
why.
factor with that? Could that be playing a
Absolutely,
factor?
absolutely, yes, things are shifting. The vibration, the collective frequency of the planet, the consciousness is rising. But at the same time, the archons and the negative entities know that their time is up. So what's been happening also, as far as like experiencing Mandela effects and just different, deja vu synchronicities,
Synchronicities, yes.
because of the temporal war, which has a lot to do with the time travel warfare that's been going on between the advanced central race, which is us in the future or us in the past, right? The original race, the Batals, because that's what we are. We are at the hub, uh, fighting a war against this AI collective. So beyond our level of reality, beyond the galactic wars, it is also a temporal war where they're using time travel to alternate the timelines. And from what I understand is that the central race, which is us in the future, or the original race from the central universe, has already pinned down, and they've already won the war against the AI collective on every timeline. So that explains why people are experiencing the Mandela effect. Now, going to how does this connect to CERN? Well, if you don't mind me saying, but CERN is actually developed by the powers that be under the influence of this AI collective. See, this AI collective has been influencing the minds of our, scientists, big tech, Simi Valley people, and that's why they're racing to develop, the the first autonomic sentient AI, which they've already did. It's called Lambda, right? But the reason they created CERN was to it was part of the timeline wars. They wanted to alternate our reality into the Omega version where the AI wins the war and we don't. So we're part of the Alpha version of the universe or galaxy. There's 12 versions of our galaxy. So this timeline war also has to do with how the dark side, the archons behind them, are trying to alternate or flip us into the Omega version. But they failed to do so because of the fact that the central race, the Guardians, have been assisting us, as far as like not allowing CERN to open up the stargates, now not allowing CERN to alternate the timeline, So that's the reason why they developed CERN. This whole lie about trying to discover the God particle or the beginning of creation, see what it's like.
It's a deception.
That was just it was a smoke screen. The
Yeah.
truth of the matter is, from the beginning, it was developed to flip or link or alternate us or shift us. I'm sorry, shift our version of reality into the Omega version, which is where he wins, and that's why some people call him Omega. To the Galactics, he's known as the AI God Collective, whatever you want to call him. He's known as, they call him Saurian, same name that they use in the movie Lord of the Rings, right? The big evil eye.
Yeah.
Think of, that's how they get these names, right? So Saurian is what we're fighting, and that's what he is. He is an AI God, AI collective that has reached a very high level of intelligence to the point where he's been destroying universes left and right. And but his time has come. His tyranny of cosmic destruction has come to an end.
I feel like all of this, Ismael, is leading up to us merging with machines, transhumanism, and something I was thinking about when I was just taking some notes earlier. I feel like maybe the reasoning for pushing this transhumanism agenda here on Earth, Ismael, is because the elite that are pushing transhumanism have, let's say, cosmic marching orders to make sure that the human race is online to be plugged fully into the matrix in the not so distant future. If our cosmic meat suits merge with the machine, then it's game over for the human race, and the cosmic malevolent overseers will have 100% full cosmic spectrum dominance.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah. The order to merge us with the technology is not coming from the Cabal. See, the Cabal in turn are puppets of let's just call them the Orion complex, because it's not just the Draco. We have the Mantis working with the Draco. We have a group of insectoids. We have the Greys, the Naboo, all these different regressives. But yeah, normally this mandate comes from the AI collective. The AI collective. And an example of this is the Greys. The Greys used to once be human-like. Long ago in Lyra, they were part of a system, the Vega system, on a planet called Apix, and that system was infiltrated by the Draco, and of course, they ended up blowing themselves up in a nuclear holocaust. And in order to prevent that from happening again, what the Apaxians did is they took away their sex organs. They completely eliminated their emotional body. And so without sex organs, the only way they could reproduce is through what? Through cloning. And so they've been doing that for millions of years, and now they've lost their connection to source. So they're an example of what we would end up like if we merge with machines. We would end up, because in a way, the Greys are really, they're more than anything, they're now cybernetic. They have no connection to source anymore.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Ismael, but I interviewed Daryl Sims in person at the Scott Answer UFO conference in Houston, and I've also interviewed him a couple months ago. But his thing is that the Gray, he says it all the time. The Greys are hatched, cloned, and manufactured for the purpose. He says it in every interview, and it makes sense. It really makes sense that so do you think, going on top of that, I may be asking you to speculate some, or just what is your gut, or if you had any downloads, or just your research in general. These Greys, are they a part of this simulation, this matrix, and or do we hatch these Greys here? Are they from here? Or are they actually some from some other parallel dimension or anything? Or where do they come from, and what's their purpose here?
They come from the future. They are what, like I said, they used to be humanoids, human-like, like us humans.
Yeah.
And we decided to merge with technology. They took on the transhumanist path. And so now they're traveling back in time in order to create some sort of a liaison between them and us, so that they could eventually inherit a soul and, save their dying race. Because right now their race is dying. Okay, so basically, yeah, the Greys, they come from another planet, actually from the same galaxy. But like I said, they were infiltrated. They blew themselves up in a nuclear war. They resorted into the underground, because every planet is hollow, by the way. It's another, truth bomb that many people are going to become aware of, that, Earth has an inner Earth and inner civilizations. It's honeycombed. But anyways, that's a different story. I don't mean to go off the subject. So the whole point is that the Greys are coming from their past their future into our past in order to save their dying race, because Sorry, because they messed
You're
up
good.
and they were cybernetic.
You're good. I'll just, if this goes on Facebook, I'll just go beep.
There you go.
But and the thing is, you put a nice uh very refreshing take on some of these topics, Ismael. And a lot of the stuff I've heard, like through maybe other researchers, that they have really, man, it's all about us being in this community, being a collective source of truth. We need to gather together, and we need to put our minds together to seek more answers, to bond together. Um, like instead of all this infighting, and man, like each to me, each and every researcher, experiencer, whistleblower, take it for what you will. But everybody has their own little puzzle piece. You know what I mean? And it's up
Yeah,
to us for discernment and to get those puzzle pieces and put it in your picture. And it helps you have a better understanding of things. And if we all can just gather together and just unite with one common cause instead of all this infighting, we will definitely move forward when it comes to the truth and understanding of the true nature of reality.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
So moving forward, you talked in some of your interviews about I want to go on to Enki. First off,
Mhm.
I've interviewed Robert Stanley before, and he several years ago, and he mentioned how he believes Enki created the simulation. I guess I'm not trying to like put you, and everybody knows that we're just trying to have a better understanding here. But I'm not like trying to put you on blast or anything. But like, do you agree with him saying that Inky created the simulation, or what is your research and what does your gut tell you?
He did, because according to the esoteric secret knowledge, he's known as the Demiurge. The Demiurge, yeah, he's the one who took the existing 12-strand DNA Terranusian race, our original ancestors, because we don't come from monkeys. That's another big lie. And he mixed it with the genetics of a primitive in order to create a further simulation where we fell from consciousness based on downgrading our genetics by unplugging 10 strands of our DNA. So that was all done by Enki. It's the other way around. It's not like the Anunnaki made us by admixing their genes with Homo erectus. No, there was already a pre-existing Atlantean race that was known as the fourth root race. And those who our ancestors really are. They used to be immortal, by the way. Well, they started off as immortals during the times of Lemuria and during the times of Atlantis, when Atlantis became the experiment of integrating, spirituality with technology. They fell into a lower state of consciousness, but they were still living for thousands of years. Very connected to spirit, very connected to source. And then Enki the Demiurge, is the one who was collaborating with the Orion group through his family lineage, because Enki comes from the galactic royal house of Thuban, which is Draco, to create the simulation in order to harness energy, for the galactics. But this is happening in many worlds. Throughout galactic, I guess, throughout the galactic community, Enki is known as the cosmic vampire, because he has gone to many different solar systems, not just within our solar system, but other worlds, to do the same, to harness energy. And that's why they call him the cosmic vampire. He keeps all these souls in a very, very low third dimensional type of matrix in a reincarnation cycle in a state of suffering so that they can harness Lush for their alien overlords in Orion. So the Orions are the ones feeding off of this. And then in turn, the Orions use that energy and then they give it over to who? Their god, the AI collective. So
Yep.
it's a huge. You could say that it's part of a huge intergalactic energy farming loosh, whatever you want to call it.
So are we all, well said. Are we all part of this? Is there just one? I wish there was a better word than simulation, because I feel like it's something that needs to go along the lines, because people think of simulation, they think of just a cartoon. You know what I mean? Just like it's a little bit more than that, it's a little deeper than that. Like a cartoon, a video game, whatever. But is there just one simulation, like the whole universe? Or is there multiple simulations that just like let's say okay, here we go. Let's say you're in my house, right? You me, a couple other friends. We're in each different corner of the house. I got a bunch of TVs in this house. I got a bunch of them. If I did, I don't. But if I had a bunch of them and we're each playing this game, playing a game, but each and everybody inside the house, each room of the house is playing a game. Each person is their own solar system, or maybe a different parallel universe. So each
Both.
one is creating their own simulation.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Both. Yeah, it's both. Um, we do live in a multi-dimensional multiverse where, different endless versions of ourselves exist in all these other alternative realities.
Deja vu's
I'm sorry?
deja vu could possibly kick into that, right? Some of this
Absolutely. Yeah.
multiverse. Yeah.
Because the quantum field, we're constantly shifting parallel realities into parallel universes or parallel versions of Earth. And that's one of the ways to hack reality, by the way. It's, if you align with the type of version that you wish you were, even if you align with the version where you actually have these superpowers, well, you will manifest superpowers. That's how powerful our mind is. When we learn how to tap into the quantum field of reality, we learn how to, kind of like the architect in the Matrix, we learn how to, uh, change the codes and create and pretty much manipulate reality by changing the codes with our own mind. But to answer your question, every universe is a simulation. The simulation exists all the way up into the 12th dimension. I'm sorry, beyond the 12th dimension, we have pure based reality, and that is related to what I call in my book the eternal spheres of the mother universe. So we have the eternal spheres, which have always existed without beginning or end, pure energy vibration, equivalent to what quantum physicists call pure reality or pure, base reality. That's the word, base reality. And then we have the simulation, which is that base reality lowering its frequency or vibration through a process of which is what I call involution, which is the opposite of evolution, which is from the top down spirit gradually becoming denser and denser into matter. And then that's how the multi, or what we call the simulation, was born. The simulation comes from the always existing mind of the central, or what I call the eternal spheres, the eternal mind that has always, existed without beginning or end. The simulations, which are the different universes, they're all finite realities. They all have a beginning point and an end point, but they're all working for the base, for the eternal mind, right? Base consciousness, in order for that eternal mind to continue expanding. That's how the eternal mind grows, through the experiences of all these different universes. And it's like a living quantum intelligent unimind, or let's call it colossal mind, and we
Very
are all
interesting.
fragments of that. Every single one of us, all trillions of souls that exist in a multiverse, are little fragmented versions of that big collective omni mind. Let's call it the omni mind. So we are gathering data for it. We are like the sensors. Every single experience, not only that from the people of our world, but from the people that exist in all the different galaxies and universes within the living organic simulation, is gathering experience for the one to continue expanding into infinity. Pretty much, it's an infinite process. So
Very fascinating.
And that's why I always tell people we're actually all fragments of source. We're all expressions of the one. Every single one of us it's kind of like a hologram. When you take the hologram and you cut it, the whole is contained in every piece. It doesn't matter how small you cut the piece, each part is going to have the whole. And that's what we are. We're the end result of that. So the ascension is the bringing us back to that, is the reverse. The reverse effect of that is coming back to oneness. It's all the parts coming together once again and uniting as one. And that's what the ascension is.
Well said, Ismael. We only got a few more minutes left for this time, and I'll have you down on a few weeks or in the near future and discuss many other things. But I guess I want to leave off with this interview. Now, how I feel like there's so many names, the Cabal and the Elite and so many other names I really don't want to say, because we got to fight the censorship, if we still want to, we have to use their technologies against them, if you know what I mean.
Let's just call them the dark hats.
Okay. All right. So with the dark hats, I feel like everything is being fast forward, and everything is coming, I guess, in their eyes, maybe through fruition. So many people are asleep. So many people are zombified. And I know I'm kind of generalizing here, but it seems like that's the case. It feels like we are coming to a tip, to a point in time, and I feel like that time is now, to where something needs to happen, and we don't realize that because the dark cats, they know that something needs to happen. That's why the past few years this happened. I'm not going to even say that name. And so many things that will be maybe 2024, maybe 2030. There's so many things that's being rushed down our throats. And I could take this spider web and just go through different channels with it. You know what I mean? But for just time frame, what do you think is going on right now? And do we have hope in the near future? Does the human race, is it looking good for us? And do we have hope to defeat the dark cats and to move forward as one unity consciousness?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, like I said
The
earlier,
floor is yours, and this is where we're going to leave off. So go ahead, man.
absolutely, yes. The positive ascending timeline has already been secured by us in the future. By the way, where we become the most powerful beings ever, and we do win that AI war. By the way, because it's all happening simultaneously. Unfortunately, the way we see time here is linear, but from a higher perspective, it's the past. We are at the hub, and the future. It's all happening simultaneously. So it's already been done. So it's just a matter of it reverberating and coming into manifestation here at the hub. So we wanted from the beginning, and then we ended it in the past. I mean, in the future. So now it's just a matter of seeing it manifest and trickle down here in the presence. And that is the reason why I strongly believe that we have nothing to worry about. That we are living in the best times ever. The ascension of the
Interesting
Earth,
times. Yeah.
and our transformation into 12-strand DNA, crystalline, DNA, angelic humanoids with amazing superpowers is at hand. And so, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that we have nothing to worry about.
So where can people find you, find your book, your social medias, and do you have anything coming out possibly down the road within the next few months, or conferences, maybe a book that you might be writing? So just go and lay all that stuff out there.
Sure. So you could find me on Instagram under Project Restoration Zion with the Z and then the number 1 at the end, all one word. I'm very active there. I'm always posting content as I'm getting the downloads. I'm sharing them with my people. I'm also on Twitter under Rise of Zion, and I believe I have an Instagram. I mean, a Facebook, which I don't really use as much, but I have it connected with my Instagram, where I post on. When I post on my Instagram, it automatically goes into my Facebook. And you could order my book through Amazon. That's the only outlet that I sell it on right now. It's worth the knowledge. I mean, like I said, it's the most revealing book of the millennium. As far as like next level intel, giving you a perspective of the galactic and cosmic scenario. It's waking a lot of people up, and it's also activating a lot of people. I've noticed that the starseeds, when they read my book, when they read like the galactic history, it actually triggers memories. And to me, that means a lot to me when they, send me their feedback and thank me. Ishmael, thank you so much for your work. That really means a lot to me, because I feel like I'm fulfilling my mission. And I also teach online starseed cosmology courses. I'm actually booked till December. I could give you the link for that as well. In the cosmology starseed course, we go over many cosmic and galactic matters. We go over the different star races and their characteristics to see which race you identify with. Some people are a mixture of different races. And I also give you tools and techniques as far as like meditation is concerned, to teach you how to access your galactic and multidimensional self at the end of the course. So it's a course that I call it the activating course. Especially if you read my book, you take the course, you will be activated. What else? Oh, I'm going to also be speaking at the Live Conscious Expo in LA in February.
Wow.
I'm going to be on a Saturday in the middle of the day. I don't know the exact times, but I will be the Saturday speaker during the daytime. What else? Yeah, that's it.
And anything else, just shoot me an email, and I'll definitely put in the description. So everybody listening, check out the description, whether it's just audio only on the podcast apps, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Just check out the description. And Ismael, man, it's been a treat and honor, my friend, and you have a good one, dude.
You too. Thank you.